Hello and welcome to a very special edition of the Detour Live. By far, Johnny, the biggest step that we've ever tried to undertake. And I am just praying to the Wi-Fi gods that we don't have any cutout. Johnny, what an amazing opportunity to recount such a special edition of the Tour de France for particularly Australians.
Yes, look, we've already had the technical difficulties. First time we've been late starting, 5 minutes late. That's a bit of an iffy connection, but anyway, we're there now. Look, yeah, it is special. After one of the great special stages of the Tour de France last night, which we can talk about as well. So I'll introduce. We've got two of them here. One, hopefully, he's driving, and hopefully that connection happens soon. But we'll start with Cadel. So, g'day, Cadel. Thanks heaps for coming on, mate. It's great to speak to you again. And we did a great podcast with Cadel on Detour just last week. Good to see you there, mate. Bright and early for you?
Yeah. No, midday? No, not early at all. No. Nearly midday, lunchtime.
So you need no introduction, of course, but Cadel, our only elite world champion, our only Tour de France winner, and we'll go through the wonderful stages shortly, but fantastic. And I still get tingles up my back when I hear our intro every night when Phil Liggett talks about Cadel winning the Tour de France. So it's fantastic.
And Cadel, I was going to wear the Yell for Cadel shirt I got from the 2007 tour, but I tried it on and it looked like a bloody sports bra. So I thought I'll put on a bit of beef over the last 13 years. So.
So it's not the T-shirt's fault.
That's right. So,
And our other rider that we got on board is in the background, Stuart O'Grady, winner of the Paris-Roubaix, one of only two Australians now have won the Paris-Roubaix, and also I don't know how many days in green jersey that he wore. He never actually got it at the end, but 17 Tours de France, 17 or 14 Tours de France, Stewie?
Well, there's a bit of a difference there, Johnny.
Yeah.
And especially when you're riding him.
I think it was fine instead of anywhere else. But no, it was thank to us, Johnny. Thanks for you were there.
I was there for all of them. I was, and for Cadel's as well. So it's been a big part of my life. And it's strange that we're not there now. At least, Cadel, you're in Europe, but you're not at the tour. But normally, Stewie and I would be over there. But it's been fascinating.
I've been in France as well, but I'm sitting at home, and well, I don't know. It's a strange year for everyone, of course. But I have to say, when Strade Bianche was the first World Tour race, and I jumped in the car, put the family in, we drove down and stood on this. We went down there and booked a hotel and went down there because we were like all cycling fans all sports fans around the world, I'd say, in deprivation of some sport to watch and follow. Yeah. So it's been great. I have to say the racing at the Tour thus far has been certainly to be on the sidelines. It's been fantastic racing and exciting racing for everyone to watch.
How are you?
Well,
I just want to say
yes, sorry.
Yep.
Your interview. I'm just going to say, how are you, Cadel?
Yeah, well, actually, I wanted to speak with you, not John so much. Stuart. I'm good, mate. How are you going? How's it going in there? I know we're working behind the scenes on the same things. In January next year, maybe John, something we might want to touch on a bit later. But of course, we'd love to see the World Tour be coming back to Australia. But a bit hard to plan for anything in the world in the situation right now. Right. But I'd like to hear Stewie. I'm sure everyone would like to hear Stewie's perspective on that, and I'd like if I can add some insight into that. Where we hope to be in January 2021, and
well, you know what? I think the perfect time to do that would be right now. We're waiting for Andy to come on board. I'm going to talk to you about.
Andy's not very interested in racing in 2021.
He's not. And I was going to talk to you about the stage yesterday, which was sensational. But let's go straight into next year, because I know we've got Stuart O'Grady, who's race director of the Tour Down Under, and Cadel Evans, who I think has got something to do with the Cadel Evans Great Ocean Road race, like it's his race. And And you two have been working together really well over the last couple of years, the two events, to share costs and work with riders. So well, it's you two. I'll jump out of it, as I should whenever I can, and let you two have a yap about it, because I think it's very important.
Well, oh, sorry, Stuart, you start off.
I just think we're both doing as much as we can to make sure that we get, some premier cycling racing back in Australia. I think, these uncharted territory, Johnny and Cadel and Dan and everyone else. It's, no one's, I got the keys to the office, and the office closed right behind me as I got them. So, we've had to adapt and be flexible. And, all I can say is that everybody, TDU, the whole team, are putting in absolutely incredible effort in, much more than they've ever had to before, to just plan and try and prepare for what hopefully will be a great race in 2021. And that's all we can really plan for at the moment.
Yeah, if I can say from our side, it's the same. We, of course, I think more than ever we're going to have to, or between Tour Down Under and my race, we're going to work together. And I look at it as not South Australia, Victoria, Tour Down Under, my race. I look at it as the international cycling we have in Australia. The World Tour season starts in Australia, and that's where I've always wanted to be. What has always been what I want to work towards, and that's where I think it really is. And it's funny, especially in the women's racing, you look at the results for the year or the season, and it's kind of like Australia and Strade Bianca. Now, of course, they've had some more racing to add to that, but this year, like Stewie said, more than ever, we're all having to do everything we can, and to do even more than we usually do. And you know how it goes, John. Like anything in life, you give it your all, and then the sort of the goalposts move a bit further away, or they get a bit smaller, or that's always seems to be the way in every facet of life. But also at the same time, who knows? Planning for January, who knows what's going to happen? Maybe we're going to be the only racing in the World Tour next year. Who's to say? But most of all, we want to have great racing in Australia and offer to the athletes, assure them that they can come, stay safe, stay healthy, and train well and prepare not only for our races but the rest of their season well. And it's funny looking at doing the risk assessment on the whole thing. Having the athletes coming is that's the minimal problems. The athletes bubble at the Tour de France is probably the safest traveling thing in the whole world right now, because they're so used to staying clean and hygienic, and they've got so many rules to follow, and they have to do so many tests. The other day, I went for my first COVID test the other day. If you've had one, you know it's not exactly comfortable, but they're doing 2 of those a week, and they're just doing everything that's absolutely possible. So they're in a really very safe bubble. It's more the things on the outside of travel and logistics and all those things that are really going to hold us up, or are going to be the biggest hurdles.
And you were saying, Stewie, that the feedback from the teams has been really positive. All the teams have been really keen about trying to get to Australia.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, it's in the best interests of not only the cycling teams, but such as Jerry Ryan. I mean, that they're putting major investment. It's not just 8 guys riding in the Tour de France at the moment. It's the 70 families that he supports, and that's global. So the guys, as Cadel said, they're probably the most heavily tested people on the planet at the moment. Most riders being tested each day, 6 and 3 days before traveling to an event. They're tested, so they're doing everything in their powers, exactly like the AFL and all other major sporting codes, to make sure there won't be any issues. No one will trip over. And if they do trip over, they can, everyone's well prepared, they're educated, and we can deal with it. And, like we're seeing on the roads of the Tour de France, people are using common sense. A lot of the footage you see, during the tour, the crowds, as Dan can probably tell us better than anybody, they do look bigger than they probably are. But people, everyone's wearing masks. They're not clambering over each other. So I think a little bit of common sense and hopefully, we're going the right direction to just have more events.
Well, the tour is going to be the best case study for you guys, because, as you said, there's crowds there, but there are some people with the crowds that don't have the mask coverings on or whatever. But if they get to the end of the tour and there hasn't been cases within the peloton and none of the people in the bubble test positive, surely that's a good thing for you guys, Cadel, for next year to say, well, if it worked at the tour, then it should work for us on paper.
And on going through our risk assessment plans and looking towards January, I think for those in lockdown in Melbourne, I hope you're dealing with it, and hopefully it's not going to be too long for you. But by comparison's sake, France 2 days ago had 8,900 new cases, and they've got the Tour de France happening in France right now. As a comparison thing, and here we are speaking about, well, can we run a race in January? Yeah, it's certainly going to be an interesting case study, and like Stewie said, the bubble of the riders, they're so, they've got everything to lose. And not only are they well experienced in dealing with something like this, but they've got so much at stake that that's the least of our worries. It's international travel, the public, and we saw a few images on the climb the other day in the Pyrenees of people going around not using common sense, but for the same thing. I was in Como the other day showing some friends around, and I didn't feel safe there for the amount of people and contact and things that were going on, and that's just taking people out to dinner kind of thing. So hopefully common sense will prevail. Hopefully, I think most of us in the world over a certain age think we need that, and well, we're doing everything we can to make it happen.
Unless you can go out to dinner, mate, you're pretty lucky. Now, look, I just thought we've
had our lockdown here already.
I know. Let's move on to the tour so far. We've had 9 days of racing, most of it fantastic. A couple of iffy days, but yesterday is one of the great stages. I'd like to get both of your opinion on yesterday's stage.
Yeah, look, I actually haven't. To be honest, I haven't actually watched a full stage live yet. It goes a little bit too late. It's my first tour home since 1997, and I haven't got the couch Peloton snacks right. And birthday parties going on at the moment. So, no, I've actually been watching the SBS highlights from 7 to 8 in the morning, record it, watch it at some stage during the day. But, the racing's been absolutely flat out. I mean, hasn't it, Cadel? It's just been, every Tour there's no such thing as an easy Tour de France. Everyone says, this that year hard. They're all hard. Riding at that intensity for anything over 120K a day is going to be hard. And the guys have been wrapped up at home on the home trainers, these virtual races for months and months. They've launched out of the cannon, and they are just going flat out, which is great from my couch and all of our couches. I don't know about you, Cadel, but I'm pretty happy on the sidelines.
I get asked
the
same question. Yeah. I get asked the same question. Would you like to be there? Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say that these young riders, Cadel, like you won the tour at 35, was it 36? And you've got guys like 34. I've done an iffy, but you've got these guys like Pogacar, who's 21, and Roglic, what's he, mid-20s? Like, they're just gone to an amazing level at such a young age.
Yeah, well, one thing, like Stewie said about the racing, one day I was sort of like, would have liked to have been there, which is the first time in a while, the crosswind day. They're the only stages I watch and think I wish I'd been there. I don't miss the mountains and Ludenville and the descent, which George Hincapie put me out of the running. I lost 42 seconds there in 2007 to lose the tour by 23 seconds in the end. But anyway.
Not bitter about it.
I don't miss my team. No, but I do remember it. You win or you lose in cycling. Anyway, the racing's been great, but the thing for me that's been so exciting about this year's tour, I'm a big Primoz fan. I'll be open about that. And so to see him be so solid and see his team be so solid, they've been so solid this year, especially in the restart of the season. They've just been incredible with Wout van Aert and obviously Strade Bianche and Milan San Remo stages of the tour. They've just been incredible. But also Hirschel, this young Swiss rider in the breakaways, has been awesome. Breakthrough, and Pogacar, another rider whom I really like and admire, and it's great to see him come through yesterday. And it's been a real. This is young, and from all these sort of Slovenia countries that previously haven't produced haven't been such a cycling nation, they're coming through with all these riders, which is just fantastic.
Yeah, how good all these young guys coming through. I mean, exactly that. The white jersey, I think, were first and second for a certain period. On the GC, and a couple of Slovenians getting first and second the other day. I think it's a real, bit of fresh air to the sport. Some new personalities. Evidently, young Hirsch lives only 300 metres away from Fabian's home in Switzerland. So obviously they've got the good spring water down there. But, it's just been a great race to watch. And also just seeing a bit of change of guard with Jumbo Visma coming in. This Walt Van Aert guy is just an absolute machine. As Cadel just said, Strada Bianca, San Remo stays into a riding tempo up mountains, chopping half the peloton, and then getting getting
which we haven't seen for 8 years.
Well, exactly. And also he outsprints Caleb sometimes. So, I mean, he can do just about everything. It's staggering.
Our drag race to the line. And I'm just going on to the lockdown thing for you guys in lockdown. And like Stuart was saying, these guys have been wrapped up in cotton wool. A couple of the ones who are based in Italy or Spain, I think, was it 46 days of wind trainer? One of the riders told me they did, home trainer, on their balcony in an apartment to was the preparation leading into Strada Bianca. So for a lot of those guys, it's been, like they've had was it Monaco, Spain and Italy. They weren't even allowed to do exercise. The people in Italy, they were allowed to go out to the supermarket or walk their dog. If you had a dog, you couldn't take your kids outside, which seemed a bit unfair. But
that's the smallest balconies in the world as well, mind you.
Yeah,
if they've got a balcony, that's right. Yeah, it's and their lifestyle, their lifestyle's not designed for living inside. Like not many people have a backyard in Italy.
But as you know, Cadel, we're in Australia, and if we're told we can't go to the pub, I mean, we just lose our minds. So, we can still go for walks, and we still do the basics, but you take the pubs off, that's it. It's mutiny. But if he, you're right, mate.
Well, Australia was famous for the biggest, what was it, toilet paper, beer and wine. Was the,
that's right.
And you weren't even going into lockdown.
Yeah, but the stupid part was these people that stockpiled toilet rolls, there was one rich bloke in Turek or something. He had 80 rolls. He tried to resell them. And then people were like, no, sorry, mate. You're stuck with those tickets for the next 4 years. So it's just stupid. But do we want to roll into the 2011 Tour de France or?
Yeah, we'll do that in a minute. I just want to ask one question to you guys. We've been talking about all the youngsters coming up, but there's a couple of old farts who seem to be getting a second lease of life, and that is Richie Port. I was very impressed with him yesterday, and also Nairo Quintana, who seems to be finding some of his great old form.
I just want to clarify. Did you just call Richie Port an old fart, Johnny?
You just destroyed Richie's confidence for the rest of the tour. Tomorrow he's going to crumble.
Fantastic to see up the front. Yesterday, I mean, we're all Richie fans. We'll, he is our Aussie hope in the big mountains, and it's just great to see him back out there and up the front having a go. And we know he's given 100%. This could be the year. We don't know. 2020, it's been bizarre. We're seeing a lot of action. Guys. I don't think Quintana, as he just not sure quite at the level as he was previously. It's interesting to see Movistar without someone really up the front now that Landa's gone across to Bahrain. A lot of taking going on. It's just been great to watch.
Yes, and I thought Bernal was very good too yesterday. He sort of, that little attack near the top of the climb was just to let them know, hey, he's still around. So I think he's going to be very dangerous in the last week.
Sorry, I missed the name.
Bernal. Egan Bernal. He was very good in the last part.
Not nearly as convincing as where they've been in the past. like Stewie said, like Lando going across to Bahrain. It's nice to see a Bahrain jersey at the front though, also for a change. And on Richie, I'm glad to see he's I think he's really doing well. He hasn't had any expectations coming into the race, and so Nibali coming to the Trek, the GC attention shifts to Nibali. Who's not at the tour, but I think it suited Richie really well. I think it's great to see him just quietly tapping away there, and for him that's a much better place to be, and hopefully that'll be energy in his legs for the third week to stay solid and stay consistent will be his biggest thing, I think, from here to Paris. And hey, remember he just had a kid yesterday. I'm cancelling an event next month for so that I can be nearby. I'm not riding the tour, but 2 days ago now to be away from that chapeau, Richie. That's to stay concentrated during that. That's a big ask.
All right. Well, you're right, Dan. We should we've told everyone.
I just get too excited, John.
I know. Talking about the 2011 tour. So first of all, I just want to give Andy a bit of an excuse here. It's the rest day. He's driving a long distance for tomorrow's stage. He said he'd be in the car. He thought the internet would be okay. Obviously, it hasn't worked, so that's a real shame. But so let's go. Back we got the DeLorean time machine.
We got a Sting. Yeah.
Well, we're going. We don't need roads.
I love it. So let's set this up. Your mindset is going into the start of the 2011 tour. I want to hear from you, Cadel, and from you, Stewie, with the team. So, Cadel, your mindset going in, you obviously felt that you had the form to win the tour.
I think we're got some tech difficulties at the moment. I think his audio's dropped out. You there, mate?
I think he's got his thumb on the screen.
Yeah.
Well, we'll kick things off with you, Stewie. Going in from Leopard Trek perspective, what were you? Because obviously the Schleck brothers were talked about as some of the pre-race favourites. Were you guys pretty confident going into that race?
We actually were. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. There's not many races, not many Tour de France's you rock up, but you roll up to going. We're not here for stage wins. We're here to try and do something special.
Johnny.
Sorry, mate. Here we go.
We've got a guest.
Hey.
Hi, guys. Sorry, I had some trouble logging in.
You're all right, mate.
No swearing in.
That's
okay,
right.
I try my best then.
Now, I know we've got Cadel's trying. He's there. He's trying to get it going. See if we've got him connected. All right.
It's perfect timing anyway. We're just kicking off the 2011 Tour de France.
Hello, Cadel. Is it live or not? So
yes, it's live.
So we're just saying to Stewie the mindset going into the 2011 Tour de France. So, Cadel, how were you feeling going into that race? Because obviously they were all talking about the Schleck brothers, Wigo, Contador. Did you feel like you're sort of flying under the radar a little bit for that edition?
Yeah, I remember. I think I after Tirreno Adriatico that year, a friend of mine put some money on me at 27-1. I thought that's pretty good odds. Well, odds as in to put a bet on, because I was feeling kind of comfortable with how things were progressing. But I'd sort of after 2008 been a bit sort of forgotten about by the media and things. But that was fine by me because we were just tapping away, doing our work. And one thing that's probably a lot of people sort of, I think, in my at least looking at my 2011 was 2010. I was in the yellow jersey, ready to go, and I broke my arm, so it sort of put me out of the running. But but like in my mind, I was there, ready to be, right there, fight for a place on the podium, and then all of a sudden I'm taken away. But in the public's eyes, I was 28th on GC. Oh, he's too old. He's finished. So of course, but we were just tapping away, doing our work, and not trying to. was in a team who were happy for me just to go away and do the work and not make a big deal of it, as opposed to years gone by.
Yep.
And what about you, Andy? How were you feeling going into the 2011 tour, mate?
Well, I felt pretty good to go into the tour. I had big goals, of course. I was not really under the radar because I made big declarations before. I mean, I was ready for the tour, and also the year before I finished second, and then in Paris, and in 2009 I finished second. So of course the pressure was on, but I felt pretty good. We did a good year so far. We had a good Tour de France races. The shape was good. But yeah, you know, it's always, then you go to the tour, you know, and then everything comes together, and then you need to pull yourself together, and then the pressure was there, of course. But I felt good. I had also the confident team behind me.
And I thought we'd throw into you now, Stewie, because we want to get to the nitty-gritty of this tour, because there was a lot of stuff happening. But once we got to the big mountains in the Alps, stage 18 and 19 was where it all blew apart. So, Stewie, tell us about the chess game, the plans you made the night before stage 18. How did that all come about?
Well, look, you know, I guess every Tour de France, you kind of come in and you try and analyse as much as you can what you think will happen. You can set plans A, B, and C, you know, till the cows come home. But we knew we had a great team. You know, it was a really solid team across the whole board. Cancellara, Voigt, Flex, you know, Arvidsson. The list just kind of went on and on. So it was about coming into the race confident, but not being overconfident, but also trying to come up with stages where we think we could do something a bit different. And you know, I'll never forget. You know, Andy we got given the road book. We're sitting down the back of the team bus, flicking through the stages, and you know, a certain stage kind of went, well, let's try a little bit different here. Try and catch everyone off guard. And you know, Andy had the form of his life. You know, the confidence was through the roof. You know, I was getting a lot of heat as a fellow Australian with, you know, a world champion as Cadel and another team. But, you know, my job is to try and help my team and the Schleck brothers get the podium in Paris. So we came up with a few plans, and one which took, you know, which Andy will tell you, took a lot of work to actually get over the line. When we presented our tactics team the morning in the bus, not everyone wanted to actually do it. So, yeah, it was a little bit tricky, but we got everyone to get on board, and you know, even Björn kind of questioned why we were going to try this tactic, but it was Andy wanted to do something that people would remember for a long time. You know, one of those Eddie Merckx attacking with 70k to go moments. And, you know, once you kind of got the team, you know, a bit like going into an AFL grand final or some kind of final, when you get everyone thinking that it's possible, and everyone gives it 100%, anything's possible. And, you know, that day, Andy ticked all the boxes.
So I was going to say, what was the vibe like then in the bus, Andy, when you're like, okay, we've got this plan. I'm going to attack it at 60k to go. I'm going to have two guys in the break. Were you nervous or were you thinking, you know, what if it backfired, what could potentially go wrong?
Basically, yeah, of course you're nervous and you plan. And I mean, you know, Stu and me, we planned always a lot. And I mean, if they would have catch me back, what would have happened? You know, maybe I would have been dropped. Maybe I would have stayed with them until the top of Galibier. So nothing really would have changed if I wouldn't have tried. I tried and it succeeded. It was a plan not made up in the morning before. I sat with Stewie and he knows that I was really grateful that I had his support, because at that point, you know, a lot of my teammates, they were doubting, and the sport director was doubting. You know, we are 2010. This doesn't work in the modern days of cycling anymore. The team will control too much the race. But Stewie was the guy who really supported the idea and believed in it. Nevertheless, the team tactic worked out perfectly. So a lot of things came together that day. So we had a plan. We were lucky that we were lucky. We worked also that we had two guys in the breakaway, which was a tough day to go in the breakaway. And yeah, suddenly we find ourselves on the bottom of Izoard. And yeah, I just said, Stewie, so I guess it's now up to you. Please speed up, put them in the red, and I took over from there.
Well, we've actually got vision. We've broken down this stage 18, and this is just before Cadel. Like, we can sense that an attack is brewing.
A lot of pressure on his team to set the pace. This is the face of Jens Voigt, who's decided now to lift the pace. This is interesting. Now Voigt has gone to the front and has lifted the ante just a little bit, and I'm wondering if this is yet another test coming from Leopard Trek. Andy Schleck is in the white helmet there.
Andy, it looked like you were whistling. Like, everyone's sort of on the limit. You were sensing like, all right, we're about to go here. Cadel, could you sense that an ambush was on the cards? Did you have any inkling what was about to happen? Oh no, we've got technical difficulties. That's all right.
Great.
Well, let's have a look now at the moment that Andy decides to attack. And Stuart, you're the last guy on the front there.
Operation by Leopard Trek has broken Levi Leipheimer. He's dropping off the back here as O'Grady. Actually, he is riding his 15th Tour de France as he looks across here now. Andy Schleck has lifted the ante, so he's used his last man, Stuart O'Grady. There's a reaction only from Keremai, I think it is, who has started for Europe Car. Now, can Tommy Voigtler answer this one? They're going to have to do something. He's gone very early.
Tommy Voigtler. What about Alberto Contador and what about Cadel Evans? They've got to respond to this. This is the steepest part of the climb. We're about to go into an area, Phil, called La Casse Desert, the desert of stones, and this is the worst part of the climb. It's 10-11%, and there's no reaction at all from anyone. If Andy Schleck wants to do this, he may well be putting a lot of pressure on the rest of the main field. It gives brother Frank a nice, easy ride.
Iffy.
So, Cadel, are you? Can you hear us, mate? I
there, mate?
Cadel might need to call back in.
You can see and hear me, but I can't.
No, we got him.
Oh, we're back. We're back.
You can't hear us, Cadel? All right, that's all right.
I'll jump in for you, Dan. I've got to say that probably the one and only time that I've ever been the last man standing before a climber attacks. And that was a really special moment. That's something I actually cherish. When I probably haven't said this too many. When people ask for you, highlights of your career, you win Olympics and Com Games and stuff. That day for me personally, is we'd kind of be planning that for weeks and weeks. For that to actually come to fruition, and obviously Jens and Cancellara and all the guys before me go, no, you go last. You Jens, can I go before you? It's on a mountain. I'd never done anything like that in my life either, and it was a real pivoting moment of going, well, now you're really, you're so deep into this plan that this has to come off, and you've got to lead by example. And for Andy to attack there on the steepest part of the climb, way before what anyone was, when you see him attack, I mean, there is no one in the helicopter shot. No one was expecting it. And that's exactly why we did it. We were there to catch everyone out and to try something a bit different, a little bit bold. But we also have to remember that Cadel was always going to beat, and I'm sorry, Andy in the time trial. There's no notion. Cadel was a much stronger time trial than Andy, and we had to look at things, how we could disrupt their team, disrupt his mental state coming into mountain stages, put his team under pressure, put every other team under pressure. So this was a real Hail Mary, I guess you'd call it. And Andy went on to win a historical stage, and Cadel went on to win the Tour de France. So all in all, it was a pretty cool day.
We've also got some vision. So you said you had guys up the road. Andy, this is when you first meet your teammate who's fallen back in the breakaway.
Behind there's Joost Postuma now. This is why Joost Postuma went into the breakaway early on for only one reason: to wait to get caught by his teammate and then to try and pace him for as long as possible. Joost Postuma is probably the worst climber on the Leopard Trek team, but he will do whatever he can to give Andy Schleck a little bit of a breather before he goes and lets him go.
Plan A has worked, Plan B is now in progress, and it looks as though the acceleration here from Joost Postuma is going to give Andy the deserved breather he wanted midway up the Col du Galibier after he got rid of the peloton. This is an excellent execution of a great tactic by Leopard Trek. Now, can Andy Schleck win the Tour de France because of it?
You with us, Cadel? Can you hear us? You good, mate? I prayed to the Wi-Fi gods before the show, and geez, they're giving us a fair bit of work this tour. But Andy, so at this moment, are you just screaming at your teammates? You know, just give us all you got, because it's all starting to work to plan at this stage.
Yeah. So I launched my attack. My goal was to have more than a minute on top of Iswa. Yeah, Joost, we knew he was not like the best climber, but he was in a good shape. I had Maxime Montfort in front of him, who was the guy, the most important guy in that breakaway for me. But the moment I catch Postuma, I was a little bit like, oh, holy shit, already now? I expected him to wait on the top of me. Obviously, it doesn't go everything as planned, because if I would have one more guy, to pull on the after the downhill and on the first slopes of Col du Galibier, it would have given me a big advantage towards the guys behind. Nevertheless, I knew that it was up to me to play, and Maxime did a great job that year. The year as well, but especially that day. But nevertheless, even on the Col du Galibier, it was a lot up to myself to pull, because I knew, just going back to the tactics of the day, I didn't win it. It was not a miracle that I won. We analyzed the stage, and our idea was, if I have 2.5 or 3 minutes on Col du Galibier, and the guys behind, they want to catch me back, they need to be guys pulling. They need to be able to push the same wattage than I could do, and I knew that was something around, between 420 and 450 wattage. And I knew that, the teammates of Contador, they couldn't do that, and the teammates of Cadel couldn't do that either. So if they want to pull back, it needs to be the big guns themselves pulling. And yeah, unfortunately, Cadel knew the same, so that's why he took the lead quite early on Lottery, and just didn't ask anyone for help, and pulled basically alone behind me.
Can you hear us now, Cadel?
I can.
Oh, he's back. Where are you, beauty?
I'm going to have to go back and watch and listen to all this. Because I missed all the best part.
So
It's the
Cadel,
first time where Andy and I discussed this, and so it's kind of interesting to hear it from the other side, because of course I've been asked many times about. Probably should hang my. But anyway,
you've changed and how Cadel.
But like Andy said, I had to ride behind, and it wasn't that I didn't ask the other guys to help. No one could ride fast enough behind to close the gap or even maintain the gap to Andy, because he was going so good. What amazed me, Andy, in your effort and your team, was that you could take so much time from Briançon to the bottom of Lotteray and then the start of Lotteray, because that's what blew up my teammate, the ones that came back, but then blew up everyone else's teammates, and that's where we found ourselves quickly on our own. And then on the climb, the only one who, I think we were 9 behind you, and like Basso did a few turns, but if we want to maintain your speed, or even, but you're going to have to ride faster than that, was Thomas Bockler, who had Pierre Rolland with him. But I think, if I remember, Bockler's words to me were, "You're the king of the tower of the tour now. You bring him back." And I was like, "Well, I sort of hope, don't you want to be on the podium of the tour?" He would have been the first Frenchman since, I think, Richard Baronc, if he'd probably helped me. But anyway,
well, we've got vision of the actual virtual time splits just before the base of the final climb, and at this stage, it's really blowing out, and the tour's falling out of your graphs.
Well, about 8 kilometres to go, Phil. They will take that right-hand bend and they will start to go uphill. Andy Schleck currently, if we stop the race right now, would be the leader with a 2 minute and 9 seconds advantage over Cadel Evans. 2 minute 13 seconds over his own brother. 3:50 back to Sammy Sanchez and 4:06 back to Alberto Contador.
And if they can't allow that gap to go up anymore, because I think in the time trial, Evans will be pushed to pull back just over 2 minutes of Andy Schleck.
And there's also vision, Cadel. You're talking about knowing, wanting to work. Oh, sorry, mate. Oh, I was just going to say, there's vision of when no one's working. So I think this might be the time that you're talking about, everyone in the bunch not wanting to help out.
Well, Sylvester Schmidt has suddenly brought up Ivan Basso, the two lime green riders on the left of our picture, Pierre Roland. They're all looking at each other saying, hey, what happened there? Where on earth has Contador gone?
They're all trying to say, come on, let's all work together. But, they're all on different teams. They've all got different agendas.
Iffy.
Well, that was the moment. I think it was just about the moment after that where, Cadel, you decided, I've just got to go for this. And you did what I think's your greatest performance.
As well.
Yes, he has.
And now this is the move at the front. Cadel Evans has got to go. As we approach 10 kilometres to go, Cadel Evans has launched an attack. He's been counted by Pierre Roland. The yellow jersey is coming. Sylvester Schmidt is coming. Ryder Hagedal is coming.
Well, he never got the gap. The thing about Cadel is Cadel Evans, he's not got that punchy jump like guys like Alberto Contador have got. We're looking at this one more time, but that was Cadel Evans now has done the damage. He's got rid of a lot of riders from that group, and he now has got to concentrate on trying to nail back that gap as much as he can if he wants to win the Tour de France this year.
Iffy?
So, Cadel, take us through your thoughts when you put the hammer down at that stage.
All good, mate?
You there, Cadel?
That's all right. It's the Wi-Fi guys. What? So, what messages were you getting, Andy, in your earpiece at this point?
Well, you're talking to me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. My goal was, of course, my finish was on top of Lotare. I said I got to take the maximum time out of Lotare, because also the Galibier is a hard climb, but it's a steep climb, So if I go full gas in front, I might go, for example, with 20k an hour. And if the guys go slow, they still go with 15, 60k an hour. So it's really hard to increase the time gap on steep slopes in general, always. So my goal was, okay, this was one point, so I got to make the difference on Lotare. The other point was, it's like a soccer game, it's 1-0, there's still hope for the other team. 2-0, there's still hope, but already less hope for the other team. But, once it's 6-0, the team gives up, So my goal was like, I need to, take the maximum time out of the others. So, maybe you would just, fall into a depression and stop pulling behind.
So here's some vision now. I think it's about 6.3k to go, and it's obviously starting to really sting in the legs.
Andy Schleck is now hitting the hardest part of the climb, and he does not look as strong as he looked 10 minutes ago.
Well, don't take it away from him. It's taken him a long time to ride to this point, and he had the courage and the dedication to escape with 60 kilometres to go to the finish.
Cadel, can you hear us now, mate?
I can. I'm back. Sorry, I missed
He's back.
part of the show.
So it's about 7k to go. You've obviously gone to the front and driving it. Are you just fully committed now, knowing that you're not going to get any support?
Pretty safe in the fact. Like Alberto Contador was actually the one who provided the most, because he kind of helped initiate the chase. The big thing was also like Basso did a couple of turns, but also you have to remember I'm chasing down Andy, but Frank was on my wheel. So I was thinking of that in my mind. And obviously I had the legs that day, but also for me it was 2 years previously. I didn't want to be in more than 2 minute deficit going into the time trial, because for 2 years I'd been at more than 2 minutes. everyone expected me to win, and I pulled up short in the following day's time trial for the overall of the tour. So I was thinking more with keeping or lessening the gap a little bit to Andy, but also his brother. I'm an only child, so I don't even know what it's like to have a brother, never alone have a brother who's your teammate on GC in the tour. But I'm guessing the last person who's going to help me in the world for all the right reasons is Frank, and but also I had to keep that put me in a really difficult and unique situation. But thanks to these close calls in years gone by, and I think Andy's probably been in this in 2010. He probably had this same thing where despite everyone's panicking, and you learn to stay calm and just concentrate on what you need to do. And I really had to put all my years of experience to use that day on that final climb and just ride the fastest tempo I could to maintain or maybe take a bit of time back on Andy, but also to save a bit in the tank just in case Frank still had something left in the final.
Well, we've got vision now of the finish of that stage.
But is he going to be in yellow tonight, or is this incredible Frenchman, Tommy Voigtler, going to be in yellow for the 10th day? Andy gets it. The clock starts now. Now Evans, he's got it down to just on 2 minutes. He was 1:18 behind. Now he's not that far behind overall.
The race is far from over. Tomorrow is short. It's going to be one of the nastiest stages of any tour I've done, I think.
Stewie, you can tell there that that the race is far from finished. But on the bus or when you got back to the hotel, you must have had a big sense of pride of you had this plan and you pulled it off.
Oh, absolutely, Dan. I mean, there's not many moments. It's a bit of a Cancellara before a Paris-Bay. There's not many occasions where you actually set a plan and they actually come off. So, massive respect. To Cadel for the ride that he did. Benefit of hindsight's a great thing. That plan that Andy and we put in place weeks. It was a bit of a dream, a bit of a pipe dream. But like we've said earlier, to see it actually come to fruition, and Andy, standing up on the podium, and my radio meanwhile is like crackling in and out. Like I was so far behind by then that I might have been the last teammate standing, but I think I was the last teammate to cross the finish line. To hear that over the radio and to see Andy win that stage meant so much to me personally. That you can disrupt the race. You can have a young guy comes up, and I will call Andy a young guy at the time. To come up with this crazy plan, but to make the whole team believe in it, and to see him standing up on the podium, delivering that win, there was something special. It doesn't happen very often, and we can sit here and laugh about it now, but that took a lot of guts, a lot of courage, and it's just one of those moments. It was seeing listening to Cadel now talk about his side of the story, seeing how much effort he put in on the other side. I mean, how good sport, how good cycling, and how honoured and privileged am I to have ridden with these guys and to be a part of it. It's fantastic.
How does that make you feel, Andy, when you reflect on such an iconic stage like that?
Yeah, especially it's coming out of, Stewie, he was my hero when I was growing up, and he was already a pro. I remember following him. I was 14 years old. He was in Crédit Agricole, and suddenly we became teammates, and then we became good friends. We did the camps together, trained together, and suddenly I'm here, and hearing that from him, gives me goosebumps today. But also for me, it's the first time that I actually hear Cadel really telling the other side of the story. And the other things which we could add, to that day. I mean, we were under big pressure at Team Leopard, because I was the guy next in line to win the tour. Cadel, had many goes before, and had bad luck in tours before. And if you look at the tour until there, we didn't really do what everybody wants us to do. Huh? I lost time in Pau in the rain. The stage, I lost, I think, something like almost a minute there to Cadel. Huh? So there was big pressure on us. So which also forced us into to believe in that plan. But then again, it's a little bit a dream came true. But that's what cycling about. You work towards a goal, and a goal starts with a dream, and you don't have many days where it's ends up in a success like that. There are more of these others. I mean, Cadel, you can talk for yourself how many times you dreamed of winning the Tour and how many times you were close and you never really succeeded until 2011. And having Cadel there chasing me behind, of course, I had the radio connection and I knew that it was him pulling behind. Is also kind of a privilege for me because Cadel as well, we are, I would say, two different generations of riders, and yeah, it's a kind of cool and makes me proud again of that day because it was just a perfect example of perfect teamwork.
And Cadel, how do you go when you reflect on days like that?
Oh, certainly hearing. This is the first time I hear Stuart and Andy's side of the story. Of course, Stuart and Andy, we spent lots of time since, but we don't talk about racing when we see each other. But to hear it from Andy's side, of course, is also interesting for me. I look back at it and I'm thinking it's probably considered also for me. It's one of the best days of my career. And everything that all my experience that I had, I put down to on that chase. To look back at it now and the fact we're 9.5 years on, nearly 9.5 years on, we're still talking about this I think it was 9.8 kilometers or something from the finish where I went to the front. Still talking about it now. Obviously, it was a significant part of my career, and I hope also in cycling because like this attack that like Stuart referred to, it's like an Eddie Merckx kind of attack in modern cycling. Unfortunately, we're often so criticised for doing something in cycling or as sports people in general that it forces us to be very conservative. Of course, especially at the Tour. And so people don't go and do these things because there's so much to risk, to lose, and so much you're going to be so criticised if it doesn't come off because they've gone and done something that's maybe 1 in 100 or 1 in 50 chance of coming off. And so they pull that off, and to win it becomes something really special. But unfortunately, the environment around our sport discourages this kind of courage. So the fact that it comes off from that side, but on the same side to be put there on my own, chasing down, I'm like, teammates chase, no one, well, it's up to me or nothing. I have to say, when I was chasing behind, one thing I was getting information on the radio, of course, the time checks and so on, but when you're riding on the front for 4K and the director comes on and it's like, oh, Contador's struggling. Oh, just do a little acceleration. Contador's dropped. You've ridden Contador off the wheel on the Galibier and the Tour de France. Obviously, anyone who's ridden uphill, that's quite a confidence booster. Oh, this is going good. Keep going. And but of course, like I said, thanks to my experience before, just being able to be calm, calculating in this. In that moment was years and years of experience put to use.
Now, I just thought we could move on to, because that was an amazing stage and we've taken all this time talking about because it was so special. But the next day wasn't a bad one either. It might have been a shorter day, but you had to climb the Galibier again and Alpe d'Huez. So, Andy, I was going to ask you, were you worried about stage 19 in that you've spent so much energy on stage 18? Were you worried you could come back up for stage 19?
Unfortunately, John, Andy's dropped off. But hopefully he'll click the link again. What we can show is, Cadel, you're probably getting cold sweats thinking of that stage 19. We've got some vision now of some bike issues you had.
Contador, he wants to see how much he can make people hurt. I think the first person he wants to get rid of, he's looking at them one by one to see who can pick off. And I think Faulkner is the one he wants to go first. And Faulkner is going. Faulkner is going from the back of this group. And Faulkner are suffering. Evans is gone! Evans gone!
Here's a problem with some mechanical problem.
I think so. It must be. He's just completely stopped. No, he's getting back on again.
It's the legs, not the wheel.
Oh,
He was thinking that there was something wrong mechanically. You would see him there looking down, hopped off, turned his wheel a bit, but
there they are. They are catching what is splitting up of the original 14-man breakaway. There is a problem. He's not happy with it. Evans passed by Burkhardt. Burkhardt with him. Burkhardt's going to have to try and bury himself to pace things up. Well, I'm not quite sure what the problem is. Maybe the wheel is not sitting in the dropouts correctly. Like, oh, he's going to getting a bike change. It's a complete disaster for Cadel Evans. The Tour de France potentially could be going down the pan for this man today.
Talk about a heart-stopping moment. I know the press centre, all the Aussie journos had their hands on their head and just everyone wanted to vomit. How were you feeling, Cadel, at the time?
Well, I'm a bit more, like you said, a cold sweat now than I was at the moment. Same thing, just stay calm, do what we've got to do. And but of course, this is maybe the Tour de France going out the window. But, thanks to my past experience, and whether it was the Vuelta a España in 2009 or the coming so close in 2007, 2008 at the Tour, I just had to stay calm. And the thing that I think was, and I still don't know to this day, but when you're riding at the Telegraph to go to the Galibier and ride up the Wes, you're riding along and I can feel there's something wrong with my bike. It feels like the brakes are rubbing. Psychologically, I'm like, I better just drop and change my bike and not have that problem and ride the stage. Unfortunately, this is what it came down to. But because psychologically to do that, to ride Follow Contador up the Telegraph Galibier, which if anyone's ever ridden it, for me it's the longest climb that you ever do in racing because it's basically just one climb. To have a mechanical problem that I know is going to be slowing me down for the whole thing, I'd rather have a minute or 2 minute gap to close than ride the whole stage with this. But obviously it turned our whole tour around, and I've done this discussion with George about it and heard it from their side. They thought, oh yeah, great, Cadel's in the break, no problem, easy now. And then they come on the radio to the team, Cadel needs a bike change, everyone to the front, you've got to bring him back and to the front. And of course my team were incredible. Of course, in the mountains we weren't as strong as the two Schlecks. So Steve Maravita rode above himself. He was the last man with me to the top of the Galibier from the other side that day, and we touched on it when we spoke last time. I was getting to the top of the Galibier, and we're going through the tunnel, which is actually lower than the top, where we just saw Andy cross the finish line. I'm like, oh, hang on a second. I was hoping to have a bit more climbing to close the gap to Sanchez, who was dropped, but I sort of think I got into the back of him in the tunnel or just after the tunnel, and to start the descent with him, which sort of got us back to the group.
Stewie, what are your memories of that stage, mate?
A painful blur. Yeah. No, I think that was it was a ridiculously difficult stage. We'd put so much time and emphasis into the stage beforehand to see the guys attacking as they did straight out of the gun. The next stage, I think I was probably dropped after about a K, actually. And you let the climbers do their stuff. It was just every pedal stroke was a battle. Every kilometer was a mental battle. You plan, you do all the planning and conjuring that you'd like, but at the end of the day, once you get out there on the bike, every team's got their own little plans which they're doing behind the scenes. When Contador unleashed at the start, and stuff just hits the fan. Honestly, you're so tired. Your body's so deprived of just fret. You're so tired. Every pedal stroke hurts. I mean, watching these guys ride off into the distance when you think you're a pretty good bike rider, and then seeing these guys just pedal off and you can't do anything about it. It's like you set up a plan, you hope it comes off. There's been times where you win a stage and the next time you're in the Gruppetto, the next day. It's the Tour de France is a tough gig, which is even more respect to Cadel and the GC guys that managed to conquer these 3-week tours, because I'm stuffed if I know how they do it.
Cadel, I was going to say, on the Alpe d'Huez, you seem to get a bit of your own back because you had the break up the road with Contador, and everyone starts to really panic. And I think the Schlecks were looking at you to try and help them contribute.
Yeah, and well, for me at that point, I was of course looking at them, and like I know, we've been racing together for quite a few years. So I know Frank and Andy reasonably well as competitors, but of course in my mind, when they're starting to get a bit unsettled, that calms me and gives me, of course, confidence more so going into the next day. But also after what I've overcome, just to be there, I was like, things are going good for me. Where I might have been 5 minutes down the valley behind them or something, throwing away a Tour de France. But for me, that gave me confidence. Seeing Andy, who seemed at least from the outside, what I was judging, quite uncomfortable. The fact that I was there with them behind going into the time trial, and of course at this point I'm thinking of stage wins. I'm thinking of saving just everything I can for the time trial the following day.
And Iffy, there was an iconic moment on that night at Alpe d'Huez on the hill, where Stewie was rooming with Andy Schleck. It would have been great if Andy was there at the moment, but obviously he's got some technical difficulties. But and you messaged Stewie.
Yeah, well, I phoned him and it went to his message bank, and I was walking through the village at Alpe d'Huez, and there was this huge Luxembourg party going on.
Oh, hang on, Andy's here. Perfect timing.
Good timing.
Yeah, he'll be here in a couple of seconds.
I was in bed, mate, so I know where this is going.
No, you were at the party. You were, yeah, exactly.
It's not an iffy story, I hope. If you debunk this, Stewie, he's been telling everyone for 10 years this story. So
settle down, Dad. Settle down, Dad. Good. That's good. Yeah. Well, we'll wait for Andy to get here. He's still trying to get through, is he?
No, it's the Wi-Fi. It's spinning. It's spinning. Yeah. So, but anyway, you messaged Stewie.
So there was a big party going on because half of Luxembourg seemed to be up on the mountain, and of course, Andy's leading and Frank's in second place, heading into the penultimate time trial the next day. Anyway, the big party going on. I remember Andy and Frank's dad was up on the balcony, and all the people were yelling, had music going. It was fantastic. So I rang Stewie. I went to his machine, and I just said, "Oh, you guys can party tonight. We'll party tomorrow night." Anyway, when Stewie's listened to that, he's sharing I didn't realise you're sharing his room with Andy. Next couple of minutes later, the phone rings. It's Stewie. Oh, I go, "Hello, Stewie." He says, "No, it's Andy." "Oh, get stuffed." Oh, okay.
True story, Stewie, or is that an iffy story?
No, it's a true story.
I'm never going to interfere with an iffy story. It'll be wrong.
There you go.
All I know is that we were well tucked up in bed, and everyone was concentrating on the next day. But we knew we had a big challenge. We knew Andy had a big challenge ahead of him, and well done, Cadel.
So, well, just the time trial, there was obviously 57 seconds. What was Andy's mindset that morning, Stewie? Because you were in the car, I think, behind Andy in the time trial.
Yeah, that was pretty. Okay, that's probably a good point. I remember obviously rooming. Yeah, it's all my fault. No, I remember I'd obviously ridden my time trial much earlier in the morning.
He's back.
Here he is.
We're just talking about the time trial now, mate. The morning off.
Yeah. Great time.
Okay, maybe I go offline again.
Yeah, maybe turn off. But I guess just quickly before I'm sure Andy's got a lot more to tell you, but I remember obviously coming into the last time trial, Cadel was much more renowned at time trialing, but we hope and you do hope, and Andy had shown so much guts, determination. He'd had a real hard crack. He'd given everything he could to put himself in the best possible position to win the Tour de France, and that's what we can ask for. If someone else beats you, then fair enough, you're beaten by a better person, which eventually happened. But I'd finished, and normally I'd finish my time trial and I'd go, get taken back to the hotel and you watch it on TV. And I said, no, I'd like to stay in the team bus. And I was sitting in the team bus. And next minute, one of the masseurs came in and said, hey Stewie, they want you to follow Andy in the time trial. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like that had never happened in my career. But Andy had asked for me to be in the passenger seat, which I'm not even sure is allowed. But anyway, next minute I'm in the passenger seat, and I'm like, what do I do here, Kim? And Kim Anderson's the director, and he said, just talk to him, just talk to him as a teammate, as a friend, and yeah, it was a really crazy moment, to follow not only a teammate but a really good friend in yellow jersey and do that whole time trial, and be on the other side of the fence, like just seeing that time gap come down, Cadel's coming at him, and that's life, that's sport. I mean, as I said earlier, Andy gave it everything he could to win that race. If he didn't attack on that stage, he might have finished a nice cruisy easy second, but he didn't. He took the bull by the horns, had a crack. We're still talking about that stage many years later, and at the end of the day, the best man won. So it was just, as I said again, it was nice to be a part of that.
And Andy, what do you?
Nah, Andy's gone
We've
again.
lost him again. Okay. Well, Cadel, take us through your memories of that day. You obviously felt good. You felt strong, and you did a great ride.
Yeah, well, like we touched on Alpe d'Huez, I could see Andy was getting a bit unsettled and probably not going in with the greatest deal of confidence. And remember, I've been in this position twice before. And so I suppose I'm well prepared for it and won. But also this year, particularly for that particular time trial, I was better prepared than I've ever been for a time trial in my life. Tyre selection, gear selection, everything I'd done already before, and everything was just absolutely ready. And one thing, the big change for me was, like, even I remember having this discussion with BMC weeks before in the Dauphiné, this, that, but also I had this whole company that had just developed all this equipment just for me and for that time trial. And so I had this so planned, and with the hope that I'd be there in such an important position that we would have put it all to use. As it came together, I came there with good legs, complete calm and confidence, and got to put all these things in. In contrast to Andy, who had Stewie sitting in the passenger seat. I had Andy Rees, the owner of BMC, who just, waiting to win a Tour de France after all these years and all these bad experiences with Phonak and everything. Hey, come here, buddy. And finally, I got there with good legs and everything just ready to go, and knowing that I think I felt that I had a real advantage, both physically and psychologically, over Andy going into that. So I just went in and rode the time trial they had to ride, and I probably have to say it was one of the calmest stuff because of all these factors together. You go in so calmly to the time trial, which is where you actually produce your best performance. The only thing for me in the end was the team director thought I was taking so many risks on the downhill. He stopped giving me time checks, so I was second at 2 seconds to Tony Martin, and I was like, we could have won that stage. But anyway, of course, we were there for other goals, and for me, to get away from the Andy Stewie thing, I went back to my team bus, and all of my teammates were in the bus, and all of them were sitting there watching, and all of them were there saying they'd never been so nervous, sitting there in a bus with sweaty palms and watching this time trial, waiting for me to come in. And of course, I went into the bus. I cursed the director for not giving me time checks. We could have won a stage, but of course, in complete Aussie sarcasm, I just let out the biggest scream of delight for my teammates, and of course, then for us, the tour was pretty much won for us. And we're talking about it nearly 10 years on later, and I've actually got a present from the Kip in my office with the picture of the podium after there. And I have to say, my life changed after that day.
Yeah, Stewie,
well done, mate. Well done.
It was such an iconic moment for Aussie sport, and the effects it's had on the sport is we're still reaping the benefits of it, obviously. And Iffy, that press center, you've never seen anything like it when Cadel walked into that room.
No, it was pretty special. The press centre was in the Grenoble track in the middle of the velodrome there, and it took him more than an hour to get there, and everyone's wanting to get going because we've got 6 hours to drive to Paris. But I've never seen the whole press centre stand up and applaud a rider like they did that day. It was really special. I got to say though, I'd like to hear Stewie's feelings of what you felt in Paris when finally in Australia, even though he's taken it from your team, when you saw Cadel up on the podium.
Oh, what do you think, Johnny? My God, complete pride. You know, mate, just because we're on opposing teams doesn't mean there's lack of respect. And if there's one word that I take through my career, it's respect. And Cadel's been an absolute. I guess it's hard to find the word because he comes from being a mountain bike world champion. Maglia Rosa back in the day. Almost won the Giro. This guy just coming through the ranks. I was the road captain helping Cadel when he won his world title. We have had a great journey. We've ridden Olympics together. Even though, again, you're in the boxing ring every now and then against each other, it doesn't matter. It's like a UFC fighter. You fight each other and you hug each other and go, man, that was a good battle. Cadel has been has really propelled cycling into the stratosphere for Australia. You Phil Andersons, Neil Stevens, Brad McGee's, Baden Cooks, Robin McEwen. There's been all these people, on the road doing it, taking it up year by year. And then Cadel goes and wins the bloody thing. So, it's just been fantastic to race with Cadel. We didn't have the same journey, and I think that's what kind of made it even better, is that anybody can come, if you've got your eyes on the prize from a young age, anything's possible. And I think that's, a bit of reality with cycling. For Cadel to come over and conquer the Tour de France, and to me be on the opposing losing team as the road captain, that's pretty cool. I'll take that.
Yeah, sensational.
Cadel, is that one of the things that you leave behind? Is if you've got a dream, just go for it.
Oh, absolutely. And if I said the thing so I go back times that Stewie touched on the fact we didn't follow the same paths coming through the sport. And then I go to, say, the first Tour Down Under, which is funny that Stewie's the race director now. And Stewie wins the first Tour Down Under, and I'm thinking 1998 or 99. Oscar Camazin presented the World Championship jersey won in Valkenburg, January 1999. And I'm there on the national team and as a mountain biker, and I can ride. And then Stewie wins on the time bonuses. And of course, so I have this perception of Stewie who can sprint. But then in the Tour de France, Stewie was the first guy who I think Phil, with everything that he did, was absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately, Phil didn't have the media coverage that the technology brought to us. And then Stewie was the first getting the breakaway, getting the green jersey, winning stages of the Tour. I think he was really started the following of the Tour de France that prepared the basis for what we have now. And so thanks to Stewie, people are starting to build interest. And then we start, here's a guy with the green jersey. And then Robbie comes in, Baden and Brad. And then we've got a GC rider to follow, and that's where we started with the live coverage of the mountain stages, the live coverage every day of the tour. So that was really the basis of us. And I'd say our careers sort of came together at the end, Stewie and I, and of course riding the Worlds together or the Sydney Olympics. But I think, Stewie, I think back to the Sydney Olympics where you weren't having a great day, I was having a terrible day. I was a week later to be diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome. I shouldn't probably have been there, but not having known this. But we went out. I think we went out together for a beer afterwards. And it was like, from then on, I feel that our careers come together and we find each other as race directors. I'm a race organizer, a race director. He's a race director. But it's sort of, we come together now. And that's where what amazes me in sport. I actually have the same thing with Andy and Frank. And they had the Schleck experience had to be cancelled this year, of course, because of COVID. I was getting excited about it. They were going to have a gravel ride. I think these friendships are so unique because it's funny that I had teammates for years that I never speak to, but then once a year I catch up with them. At least once a year I catch up with Frank and Andy, and whether it be the tour or tour event or their ride, and catch up with Stewie, hopefully in Australia, and that's all of these ways we come together in the end, and the same thing. What a journey to follow Stewie to be a part of it, and for me, I think just highlights the fact that 9 years later we're talking about this stage like it was yesterday. I've got a reasonable memory of it because I've recounted the story many times, but this is the first time I hear from Stewie from Andy's side, so it's also very interesting for me, and that's what sport brings us together. It pulls us apart, but it brings us together. And
but is that one of the big things, Stewie, that cycling is such a big community? Like, you race against each other, but, you socialise afterwards, and different teams and even the staff. It is one big sort of family. And I'm not sure if it's like that in all sports.
Oh, look, Dan, I think it's just the fact that everyone knows how hard it is to ride a bloody bike up a hill or ride 250K in a day. I think it's just, that again, that word that I keep bringing up, respect. It's you respect your opponents, you respect the people around you, you respect the people that sacrifice their lives to maintain your bike or to massage your legs or to put the food in your musettes. It is one big family. But that's like any sport or any business. And the fact that, we can go along the road and do some pretty cool things at the time is, it's great to be able to obviously win for yourself, but it's also great to be able to help others, achieve their dreams and just be a part of cycling history, I guess. And
we're joined by Matt White, who joins us every day. Whitey, we've just been reliving the 2011 Tour de France. We've got Stewie here, we've got Cadel here, and we're just recapping on what effect Cadel's win had on cycling as a whole, particularly in Australia. What are your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, I think what it did is it brought the success of Australian cyclists to the mainstream public. I think, winning the Tour de France, everyone knows the Tour, and for an Australian to win that was so big for the recognition of the sport. There's been some incredible results prior, but that was just a big change, I think, in recognition for what Australians were doing. And obviously, Cadel winning the Tour was, it really put cycling on the map with the general public who didn't have the same interest in cycling prior to that. And I think that really fast-tracked a lot of things with Australian cycling because of that win.
Yeah, for sure. Iffy?
Yeah, look, I just want to thank you guys so much for coming on board. It's been one of the great podcast live streams that I've done. Yeah, and it's wonderful to get the insights, especially with Andy coming aboard. He just flicked me then to apologise for his internet, but I thought he was
I like how he's
fantastic
apologised to you about internet of all people.
Can I just say, I don't know how you do this, Johnny and Jan, Dan, but you've just pulled Matty White out of nowhere, out of cover. It's a pretty good replacement. So, good day, Whitey, and congratulations.
Hey, Cadel, hey, Stewie.
Have you got any questions for Whitey while you're there?
I got lots of questions, but I reckon you actually look. You're looking really good with the mask, mate. And how do I get my Mitchell and Scott mask?
Well, they could be collector's items. You never know what happens in the next week, mate.
But yeah, no, this has been a riveting podcast, Iffy, for sure.
We brought Whitey on to talk about last night's stage, but I it's pretty hard to say to Stewie and Cadel, "Oh, you guys piss off." So we'd love you guys to stay on board because it's been absolutely fantastic. So I've got you here, Whitey. I got to say, congratulations, mate. And I thought Adam was he was so gutsy in defending that yellow jersey. A great effort from him. And how is he?
He's good, mate. He's good. I don't think he's disappointed. Obviously, we would have liked to keep the jersey longer, but it was just an added bonus to get the jersey. Like I said, we wanted to go out hard early in the race to try to win a stage, and that resulted in the jersey. But now we can go back to Plan A and target some stages. There's going to be a lot of breaks sailing down the road in the next 10 days, and the plan for us is to knock over a couple of those. But it's been a good week. Obviously, the yellow jersey is very special, and the team rode well. And like I said, Adam did a gutsy ride for, especially with the preparation that he had prior to the tour.
Big question, mate. What's the rest day hotel like? Have you got 4 stars, or are we in a Campanile?
Mate, it's not too bad. It's an Ibis, but it's a new Ibis, and I've had to beg the owner to use their private internet connection because the public one and my phone one does not work. We're in an industrial estate in the middle of nowhere, so as you can see, it's going to be very relaxing. And
there's nothing better than driving 450 k's for that.
Might go for a walk around the industrial area this afternoon and clear the head. It'd be great.
So today's the
changes in the tour.
No.
Whitey, today's the day for all the testing, obviously. So the boys have all gone and done their COVID test today.
Yeah, they split it up. So half the team was tested yesterday, and then the boys and the leftover staff were tested 2 hours ago. So because they're testing 600 to 700 people. So we're in the process. Well, we don't find those results out until tomorrow. But everyone who's on the Tour de France bubble would have been tested in the last 24 hours.
Yep.
Yep.
We'll keep your mask on, Whitey, and good luck to the final.
Yeah, look, I'm getting used to it. I reckon I might even wear it when I'm at home. I reckon it's pretty good. I've been desensitized over the last 6 weeks, mate. I'm used to wearing the mask now.
And Whitey, what effect has the jersey had? Have you had plenty of messages, obviously, over the last sort of 4 or 5 days? Jerry's obviously over the moon. Are people sort of, now that you're moving on for stage wins, are they reflecting on what's been an amazing sort of 4 or 5 days?
Yeah, look, we've kept the boys pretty grounded. It's only early in the tour, and it was just an added bonus to have that jersey. But we're in a good place, mate. We've got 8 healthy riders, which is probably more than any team has. We had a couple of minor touchdowns that affected a little bit of performance, but going into the first rest day, no one's sick, no one's carrying any injuries, and we've got a lot of hard racing to come. So we're in a good place, and that
he's back.
That yellow jersey was an incredible little ride, but at the end of the day, we've got more stuff to do.
This is like cycling's version of the Brady Bunch.
Welcome back, Andy.
Hey, Andy.
Is Andy Burks about to pop up?
Yeah, Andy.
It was a hard one, huh?
You're back, mate.
I'm back. I'm back. They should stay now.
You missed all the good stuff. We were just talking about you. So you'll have to watch the show again. But,
we'll just say, mate, reflecting on the 2011 Tour de France, do you look back on what you achieved with a lot of pride that year?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this was, one of the best year of my cycling career. Yeah, of course, I look back. I mean, there's no real regrets. I tried to win. There was a guy stronger than me, so I finished second. My brother third on the podium. Yeah, this was definitely. I look back with pride.
And we were saying as well that cycling really is a community, mate. Like, I know you and Cadel are friends. You're obviously mates with Stewie. How much is it a community atmosphere with riders, staff, and the alike?
Yeah, well, this year it's a bit different. I mean, we cannot really approach the riders. They are in a different zone or a different bubble, they call it. But nevertheless, it's always fun to be at the tour. It's a big family, it's a community, and if you have done the tour, and a lot of the people at ASO and a lot of sport directors, they were former riders, they know what it is, and you're part of that group. And you look at other riders different, especially when you share moments with them on the bike than when you would have met them, somewhere in a meeting room. And yeah, even though it's not the same Tour de France than it is the years before, or in not Corona pandemic situation, it's still fun. The race is on. It's just a bit less attractive, and we walk a little bit. We walk a little bit on crutches.
I guess you're working with Skoda, Andy, because Skoda are also sponsoring the SBS coverage over here. And every night when they do their ads, we see you riding around on our television here in Australia. So you've become a very popular TV star in Australia. But what are you doing with Skoda?
Well, basically, I'm the brand ambassador. So I host some of our VIP guests. I explain them the race, follow with them in race, the stage. Normally in the morning, we go to the riders, to the team buses, and meet some of the guys. This is out of the program for this year. So we basically start the day with a bike ride where I take them out on the real road. Then Village du Tour, in stage, in race. Not every day. Sometimes we do basically host them and make them understand cycling and give them a lifetime experience.
This sounds like what you used to do, John, but on a much better scale.
Dan, I was waiting for you to come in with something like that, but anyway, we won't go there. But listen, I just want to say, Andy, thank you so much for coming on, mate.
Yeah.
It's been absolutely sensational. A couple of little challenges with the internet, but that's normal for us. That happens for us every night on this show. But absolutely fantastic for you to come on board and to have the three of you guys, and you too, Whitey. So we say the quadrella. Whitey's been coming on every day, which is fantastic. But we really appreciate it. Absolutely sensational, fellas.
Yeah, we've had so many comments of people saying, this is one of the best podcasts they've heard because, I was getting goosebumps when you hear the mutual respect between the three of you and recounting that year and some of the insights was fantastic. So it's something that doesn't often happen, but the fact that you guys have jumped in is fantastic. So we really appreciate it.
If I can just say it, just really like to say thanks, Johnny and Dan, for inviting us and making it happen. Has been a bit of a, few things, the stars to align to make it happen. But a massive shout out to Whitey, who's actually in the Tour de France.
That's right.
To actually just come out of nowhere. It kind of spooked me, actually, with your mask on. But, I just want to say to you, Whitey, well done. Awesome job. Brilliant. I am on the couch peloton for the first time for a long time. Mega kudos to Andy for trying to log in and get on board while you're driving to the next hotel and on your rest day, and a massive thanks to Cadel, just because you're Cadel and you deserve massive respect. So I'm going to go and actually cook my kids dinner. I think they're about an hour and a half behind there, but you told me this is going to take 15 minutes, Johnny. It's been 1 hour 27.
Sensational.
Thanks, guys. Love your work.
Can I just echo Stewie's words?
Yeah, mate.
Echo Stewie's words in that. Thanks for putting this together because it's really interesting for me to hear, of course, 2011 from Andy and Stewie's side as well. And it's been really intriguing for myself as well. And I just want to say to Whitey, two things. One, on two counts, congratulations for having yellow and being there, but also getting Michael Matthews back in the team, Bling back in the team. It's that's something for all of us Aussie fans to really look forward to.
Thanks, mate. It's going to be exciting next year. It's certainly going to open up a few races, extra races for us to win in 2021 and beyond, mate.
Great job. All the best. I'm going to head off too, as you can see.
Thanks, stuff. Really great.
I think that's a good way to close the show.
Thanks.
Really appreciate all you guys.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm in Cognac, so I'm going to have some lunch now. And I hope to, if you have anything, I'm here for you guys. And thank you for having me on the show. Sorry for the connection problems. So.
No, that's great, mate.
All right, great way to finish.
All right.
Good on you guys.
Yeah, we can't go, Dan, because we've still got to thank the sponsors.
Oh, that's right. Okay. we'll say goodbye to everyone. And that's a good point, John. We want to say a massive thank you to our sponsors, Lexus of Blackburn. And I've updated the photo, Johnny. Have a look at this one.
You have. Now, that is Jack Fowler. He won the first stage in the first Sun Tour. And I went and spoke with him a couple of years ago, and he is just the nicest guy. In his 90s, him and his wife, lovely people. And he's still dark on the rollies because he reckons he should have won that first Sun Tour. But a lovely man. And that's
we updated that. Yeah, we're not going to use this photo anymore, John.
You said you weren't going to do that. Jerry will shoot me.
So anyway, also I want to say thanks to Mitchelton Wines. If you want to get down once the restrictions lift, they've got new accommodation down there, and you can do a tour of the winery. They've got they're making ciders and stuff as well, Johnny.
Well, they've got a brewery in it, Ngambia. Well, the Ngambia Brewery, which is sensational. But the hotel is right on the Goulburn. It's just absolutely beautiful spot at Mitchelton Winery. So you get there, and let's go.
They've got a special.
Home. Early bird special. Andrew has said you book 90 days in advance, you get 5% off. And also, he's got a new special coming up for our listeners. So a little competition is going to start happening. I'll give you all the details tomorrow.
And here's a quick word from our mates at Bike Exchange.
We are the world's #1 bike marketplace with over 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
I've got to say, Johnny, that was one of the highlights of my professional cycling media career to date, was getting those insights from Andy, Cadel, and Stewie, and then to hear the mutual respect, and it just, you don't see it that often, do you? Like in terms of they're getting on at the same time.
Andy's still hanging on the other side because he just said, should I stay or do I go? He just texts me. No, I think he's still hanging in there.
Maybe what's a special from Let's Go or Bike Exchange?
Oh, I told him to nick off. But anyway, it's all good.
So, yeah,
no,
I mean,
that was
fantastic.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah,
and it just shows, like, even in times of COVID with technology nowadays, we can pretty much make a lot of things happen that you just wouldn't have thought possible in years gone by. So if you've got any ideas of some great guests we could get on, then feel free to let us know. And as we always say, facebook.com/detourpod, and search the Detour Podcast in YouTube. Spread the word. I'm sure once we clip this up, it should get some pretty good traction. But maybe we could do Robbie and Stewie recounting the headbutt.
Wow. Exactly, we could. I've got a really good one for the next rest day, but we'll keep that a little bit of a secret for now. I've got an absolute ripper. Pretty hard to beat that one, but I've got a very good one coming up for the next rest day.
Okay. Well, thanks again to all the sponsors. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you again tomorrow for the preview of Stage 10 at 7:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time. Speak to you then.
This is the winning